In June, more than 11 million young people in China graduated from university. The problem is many of them have no jobs to enter as China's youth unemployment rate rises above 20% and the post-COVID economy stagnates. Traditional pictures of students throwing their hats and gowns in the air have been replaced by photos of them lying on the ground, sometimes face down. It's been identified as part of a social phenomenon known in China as tang or lying flat, or its darker spin-off, bailan or let it rot, describing general demotivation. Professor Yan, let me come to you first. Tell our audience how bailan developed from tang and how it's different.
Well, tang is like, I don't really want to work hard. I'm just going to work maybe 2 or 3 days a week, or 3 months, or in a period of time, and then I'm going to stop and take easy. So that's tang. Just don't do anything extra. But bailan is a little bit further. Bailan is basically, I'm not going to do anything, and basically let the society decide, let my parents decide how they're going to deal with me. Because the outside world, which I enter after being insulated in the academic world, is totally different. I suddenly felt I cannot adjust my life there. So and if there's no proper job for me, then I'm just going to, be a couch potato. I'm not going to work.
Yes, President Lai, the feeling of demotivation, maybe hopelessness. I don't know whether we go as far as despair. How significant a problem do you think that is, or that it could become in China, given they've got the demographic issue of an aging population and an economy that doesn't seem to be lifting post-COVID. Do you think this could become a problem for the next decades?
It definitely will be a huge problem. First of all, the tang and then the bailan, the phenomenon itself, not just about the lack of the economic or job opportunity for the younger generation, but also the feel hopeless in terms of controlling their own future. So that I think it is especially the latter parts that led to exactly the kind of attitude that I'm just laying there. I'm not going to work on anything because I already lost hope, or even try to work, I will be discouraged to say something that will affect my own future, especially after the COVID and the zero COVID policy that really killed all the social momentum in China. Although the white paper movement itself sort of raised some hopes, but I think the recent development and the emphasis about the total control by Xi Jinping killed that hope again. And another thing about it is that when we talk about the Chinese, the lost job opportunity.
Can I also ask you about 2049? Now, this is an important year, because it is the goal of Xi Jinping to make what he calls a moderately prosperous society by 2049.
That is not going to happen, because just look at demographic right now, that all the estimates indicate that by year 2050, probably China will have people who are over 65 will have the population over 40%. Just look at that. The 40% of population will be fed by probably just under the 1/3 of the populations. And every single youngsters, they will bear the responsibility for the welfare, probably more than 1 or 2 people.
Exactly, yeah. So that's the economic environment. Edward, if I can bring you back in. So, part of that 2049 goal, the national rejuvenation, as we all know, is to take Taiwan. So, when we look at the young generation now, and we recognize that it's a problem, they don't have hope, they're despairing, they don't want to struggle. Are these the kind of people that you think would be prepared and ready to go to war with the United States, possibly?
Well, it's an interesting question. I think willingness to fight is, of course, one key element of a military. If you look at the Russian situation in Ukraine, we've seen a lot of issues with morale, and I think part of that is about the question of who am I fighting for, and what am I fighting for, and is it worth it? So no doubt that is connected to your question. Having said that, the capabilities in China's military modernization plans have worried the United States and the world. But you know, a conflict over Taiwan would be disastrous to both China and the United States, and of course the people of Taiwan. And so it's hard for me to see how a real kinetic conflict in Taiwan would help achieve the broader goals and economic goals of the China dream, because the economic impact of any conflict here in Taiwan, I think, would really damage the broader economic goals.
Yeah.
So
and then if you wipe out the young people through war, then...
Sure. That's right. And the one China policy of the United States is designed to buy time, to push off as long as possible the possibility of any unlawful move to alter the status quo. And hopefully cooler heads will prevail across the strait in that regard.